So welcome back, ladies and gents, and thank you once again so much, Melly, for keeping those guys at home entertained and busy on all of those social media outlets that you guys know and love by now. But back to Matchday 3 in Season 4 here. Still very early days, but we have a great game coming up for you to finish us off with, as the first two, well, they were interesting, I've got to say it, you know. Free Fall did challenge School Bus a little bit, but School Bus in the end looking a little bit stronger than we expected. But the first game, not what we expected there.
Yeah, it was an upset for sure. Denali Sports losing 3-0. I mean, we always had it in the back of our minds that they could end up losing because of the form they've had before, but never 3-0. I always thought they would maybe take 1 or 2 maps back, make it a 3-2, a 3-1, something along those lines. But that was just an incredible scoreline for the Drooling Leprechauns. Next, we went on to School Bus versus Free Fall, the Finnish team versus the CIS team, and indeed, School Bus did pull out the win we'd have expected. 3-1 going in favour for them, finally taking it home on Himmelsdorf. I must admit, they are looking like they're on track a little bit more, like they're the team we'd expect to see. Final match of the day is going to be Virtus Pro versus WUSA, though.
It is, and I don't think we need to introduce one of these teams to you all that well, because you guys know them by now. Virtus Pro, a prolific lineup of talented individuals. Bishop, Breakneck, Delight, take your pick of who's your favourite. But WUSA, a little bit more unknown. Who should we be looking out for?
I would say look out for QQ, look out for
Siege as well,
Yeah, Siege comes from a lot of other teams, a lot of other German teams. So I always have to look for those kind of experienced players who've already played in the league before. Commandante has been around the team. He was part of the lineup that actually came second in WCG 2013, which was really an impressive result and definitely WUSA's best result so far. FKK Schnitzel as well. A very good heavy tank player. It just needs to work on his light tank ability a little bit more than, to get that synergy together, to get that real ability to take, for instance, Steps and Prokhorovka.
Well, we can start kind of talking about the maps we think we'll be seeing here, and I believe the first one will be Steps. And how do you think Virtus Pro's skill set will be applied to that?
Well, it's about the AMX 1390, so you got Vorsik, you've got Karit, and you've got Just Cause. I think they are really the top players. They're really at the top of their game. Karit's obviously the team captain. He's very good at coordinating those light tanks. He's very good at keeping them all together and making sure they are, not glued together, but definitely connected by string. I have to really say, Pavel, he's not been featured in the lineup so much on these open maps. He definitely comes into his own on Himmelsdorf, Ensk, and Ruhenberg. But, I can understand why Virtus Pro wouldn't pick him for open maps, only for city maps. But I think he's just a better player than everyone, really. Maybe apart from Breakneck. I think Breakneck and Pavel are already on the same level, but certainly better than Bishop. He's been making a lot of mistakes recently, and he's really going to have to step it up to prove that he's better than Pavel in that team.
So, in comparison, WUSA, obviously not quite on the same level as Virtus Pro on paper at all. They're two very different teams. There's no way you can compare them like that. But the thing is, there was potential, as we saw at WCG, as we've seen every now and then, glimmers of hope, but we're yet to see it in the games. Very recently they've been kind of lacking in the results, lacking in the initiative, and we based this off some of their previous performances. We gave them a decent enough score. They were fairly aggressive, they looked creative, and their fight coordination was strong. But we've not really seen it coming to the forefront, especially in their last couple of games. Very passive, not quite on par with the others. This is a hard game for them to prove it in, but surely they need to do something here.
They certainly need to do something. They've drawn one game against Kazna Crew. They lost one game against Denali Sports, so they're definitely sitting at the bottom of that table. Yep. Not a place you want to be. Every team is starting to get into their flow, apart from WUSA. Slightly surprising, they are, experienced players. You got like Siege, QQ, all coming from Mort DE, a team that's been with us in the Wargaming League before, and they weren't a passive team. They were quite aggressive.
They were unique as well. I've got to say, I remember their strategies, even on Steps. Brilliant use of the 416 in there. There was some brilliant plays from QQ especially. I loved his ingenious positioning. Not seen any of that to date, which is slightly surprising to me. What do you think is holding them back there?
I think for them, you need to incorporate those players. They're relatively new to the team. They've had a lot of changes since their success at WCG. For instance, Dr. Toya went over towards C-Play. Those kind of changes make a big difference. They need to get that incorporated, make sure they have all that synergy going, which is so important. But I do look towards Sish and QQ to make those big plays. Stefan as well, very well-known player within the community. I believe he's head of one of the big clans. I'm not sure. I personally don't really follow the clan scene anymore. I mean, obviously when I was in Pirates and all that drama, it was more of my kind of cup of tea. But now it seems all a little bit pointless and irrelevant. But Stefan, he's really up there as one of those top players, and he just needs to make sure he has that confidence he has in the top of Clan Wars in this 742 mode. That's very important for WUSA to have in the back of their minds. They need a confident player.
They definitely do. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the first map will be Steps. And I look back to what I saw previously from WUSA. Very defensive, very passive, turtled into the corner, barely made a move. Now, Virtus.pro will punish you for that. They're a passive team themselves. They know how to undo these passive tactics. Do you think that WUSA will be able to get away with these kind of, very turtle down, quiet tactics against a team that's championed that style against the very best at times?
Well, Virtus.pro is a team that's beaten Na'Vi when they've been defensive, so they can certainly beat WUSA. This is a team that come second in the world at the grand finals, and that was only based on basically a dice roll of whether they pick which side on Sand River they
made a questionable choice
mode
as well.
So questionable choices coming out for them, so they can be argued to be joint 1 and 2 with Na'Vi in the world, so they certainly can break whatever WUSA wants to do. They had a bit of an up and down against C-Play, obviously only winning at 1-0 on the final map, but that's just because of C-Play's just refusal to do anything and just being the most ultra-turtled team with the most ultra-turtled lineup they can possibly take. So that's going to be hard if WUSA do decide to do that, but I think C-Play is a little bit better at that turtle style than WUSA is.
And C-Play also do have the aggressive tactics. We saw it on Mines before. Brilliant play from them, but WUSA yet to show us a glimmer of hope, in complete honesty. I've been very unimpressed by them so far. A team that has a lot of potential, just not showing us it. We've seen it from Freefall. We've seen it from every new team that's come in. There's been moments where we've gone, that's something that could be now amplified further through the tournament. A couple more play days under their belt, a couple more big opponents to test them against. They could be something impressive. I'm yet to see WUSA doing it, and I'd love to see it against Virtus.pro. They don't have to win the game, but just to show that little bit of initiative. We saw it in the previous matchup. Overall, it was not won by the team who was the underdog. School Bus locked it down and did the job. But then you look back towards, funny enough, it was Steps, and you think, wow, okay, Freefall have something there that's quite ingenious. This fight coordination, a real skill, and they'd clearly worked out their opponents. Yet to see it from WUSA. I want to see them kind of bringing this up now. I want to see them really stepping into the limelight and showing us what they can do. And there is no bigger opponent right now. I think Virtus.pro are still probably the best team in transition at the moment. Especially, I think you made a very good point at the very start of the show. TCM currently very much at the top of this league, but they also did the same in the previous season and then went down a little bit more, further. They always seem to do very nicely at the start of the season. Whereas Virtus.pro are more the workhorse. They just work their way through. Consistency is key, and they do the job they need to. And I've yet to really see them being pushed. I'd love to see WUSA somehow gathering what they'd kind of done at the WCG and bringing it back here, putting in those hours, because Virtus.pro, you can work them out. Even Spell back in the day, Kaznakru, all these other teams have managed to defeat these guys. They're not impossible, but they are damn hard. Don't get me wrong, there's no easy route, but there are ways. I love to see them trying something out here. And we can look at Steps, the tank lineups that are appearing. Is there any surprises so far? I think we can ignore Kusok for now.
Yeah, we can. Well, we'll have to see, maybe. But for WUSA, it's a double T32, T69, double MX3090, double tier 1, of course. And for Virtus.pro, double MX3090, double T69, T32, double tier 1, and finally the Russian tier 8 tank, which is, of course, the mighty IS-3. So a bit of a strange lineup from both these teams. You got quite a heavy lineup from WUSA, but that is challenged by Virtus.pro. They got the IS-3, which didn't work out for I believe that was for School Bus last time, so it might not end up working. No, it didn't work out for Virtus Pro last time.
I'm not sold.
It might actually be a failure against WUSA as well, but C-Play countered it by being aggressive, and maybe WUSA won't have that edge.
We have to wait and find out. I believe the teams are just getting themselves ready right now. That IS-3, if that is what they bring to the table, I am not sold by this at all. It didn't work out well last time. We've seen others trying it. I think we saw it on Cliff as well in the hands of Steel
School
Mojo.
Bus tried it on this Steps, and I think it was used on Cliff once.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Twice, actually, by C-Play.
Well, we're going to find out right now because the game is almost underway on the first map, Steps. So welcome into the first map. It is Steps, and in the north in red it's WUSA, in the south in blue it's Virtus Pro, with that questionable choice of that ever slow, gigantic tank of the IS-3. Not sold by it so far, but what are we seeing these guys getting up to?
Standard start from WUSA heading over towards the left side. Laurent Lasalle in that AMX 3090. He's got a perfect spawn. LD Nexus as well. They're going to get the initial spots out, and they're going to put the two IS-3s, two T-32s, QQ, and Commandant just behind the hill to try and get some hull down shots out. For Virtus Pro, also heading over towards that right side, they're going to be trying to get that IS-3 into the trench as fast as possible, because it doesn't have the gun depression, but its gun elevation is just about alright. LD Nexus is going to try and get himself into a good position. If he does manage to do it with minimal damage, he's going to be a deadly force, and he does, only receiving 243 damage. So good start from WUSA. I have to say it, they got themselves into the better position, and Virtus Pro haven't really managed to make the IS-3 work for them yet. They haven't got it into a position where it can be really dangerous. It won't be able to shoot over that hills. It needs to be down in that trench.
Well, it's going to be a hard task to get down there. I believe that WUSA have worked out where they want it. And I look back to the Go 4s where I first really saw WUSA recently, and I believe it was against Virtus Pro. LD Nexus got himself into a great position in either the 416 or the 1390, and he laid down brilliant fire. So it might be a little bit of a repeat from before. If he can land these shells, it was certainly something to remember and look back over. But as you said, at the moment, that IS-3 not quite finding the positioning it wants. It's okay, I feel, but it's not got the potency it could have in a slightly better position. But so far, whose sort of beginning do you prefer here?
I have to say I prefer WUSA's beginning. It's going to be, for LD Nexus, you just need to make sure he stays tight, because, you know, Virtus Pro are aiming towards him. As soon as he peaks, he's going to take a fistful of damage, but as long as he stays there, he waits for whatever WUSA do, maybe even waits for whatever Virtus Pro do, then he makes his move, and he'll be able to do some serious damage from either the side or behind. Virtus Pro will have to keep their eye on him, and that's the main thing for that tank. Virtus Pro will constantly be having to think, constantly be having to adapt to whatever LD Nexus does. He's going to be a thorn in their side, to say the very least, but now you can see the split Just Cause Vorsic, and I believe that's one of the tier 1s all heading over towards the left side, going to be making their flank up the 1-2 line as they trying to find another way in, because they know LD Nexus is going to be able to do some serious damage. But already automatically WUSA going forwards now, moving from one hill to another, getting themselves hull down once again. Maybe they know, they at least think, those AMX 3090s, hey, they haven't been spotted for 1 or 2 minutes. What can we do? Can we find a way in? Can we make this count? Well, those tanks are out of position.
Well, it's certainly going to come down to a big moment if they do try and engage here, because those 1390s, they're gaining ground now. They are definitely moving into an interesting position. Siege has been spotted there in the tier 1, but now finally the information has started to flow that this pincer attack may start hurting WUSA. And has this caused them to make a move, or are they backing away?
They're going to be backing away, but they need to be getting into a defensive position to ward off Just Cause and Delight, such dangerous players. Not a massive fan of Delight. in general, I think it's good that he's playing a tier 1 and not an AMX 3090. He's just really the best AMX 5100 player they have, maybe bar Povell, but you can already see that's cued WUSA to push on the Bishop.
Here we go, Bishop's in trouble, trying to back away. What can you do? You got 4 tanks staring you down. Nice positioning from WUSA there. 4 tanks with a support of LD Nexus. That was so well executed. It was unbelievable. But can they take on that IS-3 and Breakneck's in such a hefty tank here? A little bit of damage comes back. Just Cause on the swing across the map. Now it looks like WUSA is really forcing Virtus.pro out into the open. This is what I was waiting on. This sort of initiative coming out. We've got Karitz down the side with the light, doing what they can, forcing the real fight to come out. QQ, Commandante, Stefan and Laurel all moving across. But can they figure out these players? Breakneck and Kusog, big players for Virtus.pro, just waiting pixels away over the hill, and Breakneck might find Commandante very soon here. You've seen Siege now fall, the cap has begun. Of course, Virtus.pro had a backup plan, there's always a backup plan, and Breakneck not going down fast here. We've already got Just Cause moving into a defensive position to hold off LD Nexus and Co. Let's see if we can get on board with Just Cause and see how he does here. The battle is raging on, but this is the one he's going to have to thwart right now. 17 seconds on the cap. Laurel and Nexus coming through, he misses the first shot, that is vital, and now those tier 1s are vulnerable. I believe that was the reset, but the rest of the battle going through. Kusok is doing the damage. QQ singling out Breakneck. He has been eliminated. That IS-3 can do nothing but just sit here and battle it through. Commandante, QQ, and Stefan still sitting pretty cute. Kusok's taking a beating. He might go down here. Commandante's got a great little position if he can get that turret round fast enough and do the job. There we have it. As now Just Cause left alive. They're trying to cap this one out, trying to do what they can, but it is now a 3v2. The guns, the HP surely in favor to WUSA still.
Well, just about, but the question is, will they be able to get back in time to stop this cap?
Let's find out. One shot will reset this. 3 tanks in position. Vorsic and Just Cause. 1 second left. This is near and over. QQ comes in. He saves the day for WUSA. But can he do any more? Still 2 tanks stand. Vorsic and Just Cause alive. Back away. They need to reset this fight. They cannot challenge in this open ground. Those 1390s, they have the speed. They have the agility to maneuver. But can they escape QQ and Commandante?
Commandante has got to stay back, make sure he stays held down, otherwise he's going to get focused out by QQ. He's going to get focused out by the 2 AMX 3090s, and it doesn't look like Vorsic and Just Cause are on the runaway. They're trying to get out of there, want to maybe go for a different angle, maybe even go for the draw, but the first target will be Commandante down to 442. But I must say, guys, that was a really, really poor performance by WUSA, and after that initial push, the idea again was very, very good for them. LD Nexus perfectly played in that AMX 3090. The T69 did a great job, but what were they doing for 2 minutes between that initial move and then the move across to try and stop the cap? Absolutely nothing. They should have pushed on with the tank advantage they had. They should have taken down Kusok. They should not allowed that kind of exchange between the T32s. That was absolutely disastrous from them, and it really has cost them this game. I must admit it, it's just really not a good performance. Once you have that tier 8 advantage, I mean, God's sakes, push on. Even when 2 AMX 3090s are in your cap, push on, kill those tanks, and then go for the reset. Do not wait around. And if you do try and get the reset on, send both AMX 3090s in at the same time from different angles.
But nevertheless, they did save the day. They did not drop the map, which is the only difference here. Finally, WUSA made the move. Finally, they showed initiative. The execution was lacking. I'll agree with you on that.
Execution was good, but there's 2 executions there. The first execution, when you're going for the first tank, they did that perfectly. It went down immediately. The problem was from where Kusok and Breakneck and the T32 and the IS-3 were in that hill. WUSA were just having I don't know what they were doing. They were just sitting there, weren't doing very much, trying to go for some pot shots to hold down as if this is Clan Wars. It isn't, guys. You need to push on. And the AMX 3090s were out of position, so you could have gone 4 versus 2. Instead, you send Stefan in on his own in a T69 instead of sending 2 T32s and a T69 and an AMX 3090 in on the same tanks. Kill those 2 tanks, Kusok and Breakneck. They won't be able to do very much damage, and then flank around with your 2 AMX 3090s and stop the cap. I mean, it's very simple stuff, guys. But 1 minute and 52 seconds left on the clock. I think this is going to be a draw, at least from the perspective of Just Cause and Vorsic. It will be, as to be expected. 1,440 is the kind of damage they'll be able to put out with that F3 with all 6 shells. 1,550s left on QQ. So if they land all 12 shells, they will be able to take down both these 2 tanks, but it's still going to be risky. So that's probably why they're going to either wait for that 1 minute or 45-second marker, then try their luck. Or it does actually look like they're on the rotate now, heading towards QQ and Commandante. So indeed, just making sure that they can still draw it out before they go for the push.
Yeah, they are playing this one smartly. And I'm surprised they're actually even moving this far. Like, obviously the smarter thing to do, or the safer thing to do, would just be go for the draw here. As you said, a lot of damage still could be done towards them. And they'd have to land every single shell to make this one count. So not long left on the board, Just Cause and Vorsic. They're moving in, and QQ and Commandante better be ready and waiting for this one, because they could be in trouble. Spots are being made. There we go, Vorsic does get a glimpse of QQ. Just Cause continues. 37 seconds. Not a lot of time to engage here. I think they're just going to play this one out. Surely there's not going to be an engagement of any worth, but we have to wait and see. They might find the angle. Here's Commandante. They can get these shots off. Commandante does not land the shell. These shells are not landing. This is surely not going to pay off here for them. They might take down Commandante, but QQ still alive and standing. It's not going to go well, and there we go. 2 shells back to back. Vorsic goes low, as does Just Cause, but 10 seconds. This would have to be something pretty incredible to pull it off, and I don't think it'll happen. Just Cause and Commandante exchange, and, well, QQ would have to land 2 shots back to back with 2 seconds left. There's not going to be any action here. It will be a draw out, but I've got to say it. Some questionable moments from both sides almost there. 2.6k
done by QQ, though. That's pretty impressive in his T32. Might actually have helped his team stay in the fight there. Yep. But yeah, I honestly had no idea. I mean, I can't understand why WUSA didn't push forward more aggressively. The MX-39s were out of position. All they needed to do was focus on Breakneck and Kusok in the IS-3, take them down, use their numbers advantage to go forwards, and then think about their next move. But Virtus.pro played it, really, really well to bring it back then, despite losing 1 tier 8 tank. A lot of people say, okay, once you lost 1 tier 8 tank, most of the time you do lose. It certainly is true, but you can see that you can still win. I mean, WUSA less than half a second away from losing that one. All we needed is the exclamation mark on that 100%. And it would have been there. And it would have been there, and you can't reset the cap after that point. So Virtus.pro getting slightly unlucky. WUSA making a couple of mistakes with their not being aggressive enough, being a little bit indecisive in their movement.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it for me. It looked like they had a plan for once, but it still lacked a little bit of that final bite to it. It had like this great idea to start with, and then it just went, okay, now we have to actually take on Virtus.pro. But then again, this is the first real move I've seen WUSA do. Compared to how we saw them last time on steps, this is a bit of an improvement, at least to my eyes, when they literally sat in the back and just waited it out, and Butcher just ripped them to shreds. At least they made a move of it. I like the idea of the LD Nexus to keep them busy, but once again, I felt it was a little short-sighted when you're playing someone like Virtus.pro. It didn't have that bite to the bark that it almost began with.
You always need a second stage to your plan at the end of the day. Yep. It's not always about just doing the one blow and being like, yeah, we've won. It doesn't work like that. Not against Virtus.pro. We always have a backup plan, always have a second strategy, and can come up with some of the best strategies in the world just off the bat, and they will do it every single time. And that's why they're some of the best teams in the world. But we are moving on to some of the best players in the world, and indeed one of the best teams in the world. But Ensk next. This is dangerous times for WUSA, because Virtus.pro, for most of their players, Ensk is indeed their favorite map.
Yeah, this could spell real trouble. The tank choices are coming through. I believe Virtus.pro have made theirs, and as I said, Ensk is a bit of a stronghold for Virtus.pro, not a map you often see them losing on. I don't recall a time I've actually seen them lose drastically on this in a long time. So if there's any moment to do something on, it could be this, and I think those tank choices have come through.
Yeah, for Virtus.pro, the standard stuff, 3 MX-5100s, 2 IS-3s, and for WUSA, it's 2 5100s, 3 IS-6s, and 2 tier 1s. IS-6, I mean, this is completely new ground for me. The IS-6 being the tier 8 Russian premium heavy tank. Very extremely good frontal armor. I mean, like, insane. It just absorbs everything. Side armor, bit like the IS-7, is spaced.
I'm still baffled by this.
So it just absorbs so much damage. The IS-6 really is insane tank. The only problem is it can take a lot of damage in terms of your crew and your modules, and also slow, and the gun takes ages to aim down or reload.
So guys, let's get ready for that second map. Interesting choices by WUSA. Let's see if it'll pay off on Ensk. So welcome into the second map here. It'll be Virtus.pro up against WUSA in the north in red. It will be WUSA in the south in blue. It's Virtus.pro. First game was drawed out, so 0-0 overall. But this is the second map, and I want to see those interesting choices coming to the forefront here. What are we seeing from the very get-go? So
this is the interesting choice you're talking about. It's the IS-6. Very similar to the IS-3 indeed. It's kind of like a hybrid between the IS-3 and the IS-7. As I said, very strong frontal armor, very good side armor. In general, just an absolute pain in the butt to go against when you're in a tier 8 tank of your own. Not particularly fast. You can already see it's slower than the IS-3. The top speed is slower than the IS-3. And it's just big and quite cumbersome. But generally, we'll have to see how it pays out. The gun on it is, I think, the 122mm, same as the IS. So penetration is lacking, but that shouldn't be a problem against AMX 5100s. But what Virtus.pro has to avoid is a frontal engagement, because these IS-6 will just rip them to shreds.
Well, funny enough, they're going head-on into each other right now. Karitz might have a little bit of a surprise waiting around this corner, as the entirety of WUSA are literally behind this one small building. He will find out where they are very, very quickly. First spot's being made, and there you go. There's a massive amount of tanks there just waiting for this. Breakneck and Kusok, second line of fire. On the right flank, you got Vorsic and Povel moving in, and you can see it is hard to land these shots, but Commandante has been taken down a fair whack, but Karitz being lost, tier 1 gone, and WUSA, they've survived the first onslaught.
They're hungry for blood, WUSA. We haven't seen this kind of confidence in this team so far in 2 match days. They want a good win, they want to be aggressive, and so far it looks like it's going okay. They've got Virtus.pro kind of a little bit tentative. Commandante, they lost quite a lot of HP. He's down to 820 from 1,400 in their AMX 5100, but those IS-6s are so far doing that job. You can see the bounce marks on the front of them. That's just from that extraordinary armor, but Siege does go down in their tier 1, so all even on tier 1s. But for WUSA, they have basically one option: just drive forwards, use the frontal armor on the IS-6. Breakneck, Kusok are really going to struggle to penetrate it, even in those IS-3s. That's why they're there, at least. And just hope that they win their firefight. They win the Laurelana Salazar, do their job as backing them up in those 5100s. They do the real damage they need, and hope that Just Cause and Vorsic can't be as brilliant as they usually are.
Well, Just Cause and Vorsic still sitting very pretty on HP, not losing a single point of it just yet. And this is actually making Kusok move up a fair way. This is interesting. Kusok making his way down that 6 and 7 line, moving up a little bit. They're not actually going all the way through, but you can hear the shells coming out, and not a lot's landing at the moment. Mostly because of obviously that tank's frontal armor, as you said, is just monstrous. And is really soaking up the damage here. And right now, Virtus.pro looking a little bit lost for an answer so far, but as you said, one of the teams that really can come up with these strats on the fly when necessary, and this is certainly one of those moments.
Yeah, they're going to have to see what they can come up with, ingenious strategy they can really make work for them. It's going to be hard. They need to make sure that they try and get the 5100s down before they goes for those IS-6s, because they will get punished if they go 1 versus 1 against those beasts. But I think options include waiting for WUSA could be a good one. It is all drawn, so WUSA can still give this, well, they can at least go aggressive. They have no reason not to. And also go on the flank, use those 51s around. You can see QQ just absorbing a shell. Look, a shell penetrates, hits the spaced armor between the superstructure and the thin layer of armor that goes outside the tank, and absorbing it like an absolute beast. You can see it's kind of wrapped in this armor, very similar to the IS-7. And it really does help you, and it's a great tank if you want to have a play around with it. Obviously, you have to purchase it on the Wargaming store, but I think for Virtus.pro, sit tight for it a little bit. use the tier 1, see what you can find in the city, see if there's any way you can go in there, maybe come around on the flank, maybe go for the cap. But just make sure you have everything covered before you make a drastic move. They've still got 5 minutes and 45 seconds left, so they've got no reason to rush. They've got no reason to go forwards. And you can see WUSA already on the rotate, already on the flank, but as is WUSA. QQ joining Stefan up front. That could be a dangerous combination, and I think both teams not happy to sit back, but they want that respite.
Schnitzel has been spread out by Bishop, so both tier 1s keeping in mind what's going on there. And I think for once, VS-Pro are a little lost for an answer here. Their usual game plan not paying off just yet. I'm not sure what they're going to have to wait and find and see, but as you mentioned, a little bit of movement from WUSA there, looking for a path, trying to forge one out. QQ, Stefan, LD Nexus, and Laurel trying to find a way around as the tier 1 still try and keep tabs on each other. 5-minute marker now reached. I'm surprised to not seeing WUSA moving up more, maybe gaining a little bit more ground, but then again, I guess they're quite happy here. But it is leaving a little bit of room for the likes of WUSA, as you mentioned, to start moving his way through, possibly apply some pressure, and if Bishop can make a move fast and take down that tier 1, and, well, the game plan won't be revealed. But then again, Schnitzel will be waiting. We are seeing a counter move coming out.
If WUSA push now,
they could catch him out. They have the advantage.
They will catch them out. WUSA is out of position. If WUSA just get the push like within the next 10 seconds underway, it's going to be a great move for them.
Well, let's see right now. WUSA finally spotted. This might force the maneuver out there. There goes the shell. He is going to do it, and we are seeing the move beginning from WUSA, but is it too little too late, or is this just in time?
And what has Virtus.pro got under their belts? What are they going to do? They must know WUSA go forwards. They must know they're going to go aggressive. So what counterplay can they make to stop them winning this engagement? It is 5 versus 4.
Well, for once, Kusok does manage to fend off one shell as QQ will be moving forward. Stefan behind. And no damage really yet caused, but there we go. Kusok could be in trouble. Vorsic still on the rotate round the back. Stefan and Laurel joining in. It's a bit of a funneled affair, but Kusok trying to bait them down. Maybe Vorsic will try and back him up in a second. The cap is beginning. This was the plan. They're going to cap him as best they can. Kusok now comes back around. Can he land the shots with Stefan? Yes, he can. 2 shells back to back. Povel though, going low. Surely going to be taken out any second now. He's got Laurel behind. He's got QQ in front. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And the damage does get caused, but the cap is still underway. A lot of time left on it, but Stefan low, just split between where to focus, gets taken out, and the attention was drawn away from where it should have been. And Virtus.pro, we said it before, they always have plans up their sleeve. And once again, they're splitting the attention of the opponents, just paid off perfectly. Just Cause and Breakneck just toying with Commandante, but Breakneck could go down here, but still, a lot of players stand in the way here of getting this game in any other favor than Virtus.pro's.
3 HP left on Commandante, so lucky. Lauren Lansdale is trying to get out of there. I think he's on reload, 15 seconds left on that clock. Commandante finally does go down. I think Laura, he's going to be next.
Yeah, Laurel, I'm not sure you can get away from this one. The cap is still underway. 5 seconds left on that one. No chance to reset this one, surely. I'm waiting for this just after what we saw last time. Not going to come in. It will be Virtus.pro picking up the second map here. Very well played out to them in the end. And I've got to say it, I like the initiative, but we always said Virtus.pro, they're never without an anti-strat, never without that little bit of a backup plan. And the splitting the attention was perfectly done. But I want to ask you the question now. Was WUSA too late on pushing when they knew that maybe there was a weakness in the armor then?
So it was pretty ingenious from Virtus.pro. What they basically did is put Bishop in a position where he would stop FKK Schnitzel from spotting Vorsic before it was too early. If Bishop hadn't been there, FKK Schnitzel would have been sitting up in a position where he could spot the whole of that one line. Vorsic would have got spotted earlier on. WUSA would have been able to push. But what happened was Vorsic was far enough forwards that actually WUSA, when they pushed, it was already too late. Vorsic came behind, did so much damage to those IS-6s, which I must admit, didn't do all too well. I personally don't think the IS-6s were the reason why they lost. I think the thing I just mentioned with Vorsic was the main reason. The second reason was that Commandante and Laurel were too late to the party. They should have gone 2 versus 2 against Povel. Then you can move through. It was kind of like, it was supposed to be 5 versus 4, but it was 3 IS-6s versus 2 IS-3s and 50-100, and then Laurel and Commandante decided to join the party and make it 5 versus 4 a little bit too late. So those were the 2 problems for WUSA. Maybe they can make it work at some point in time, but they still need to make sure that they're landing their shells, because you could see against Kusok the IS-6 managed to bounce it from the front a couple of times. So definitely disastrous stuff from them.
I like the idea to it. You can see the theory crafting behind it almost. Like, okay, if we hold this, they can't, do any damage from the front. We've got the one player off to the side to watch our flank. It made sense, but then they did nothing with the advantage they were given. It was, as you said, a very weak, like, okay, let's engage here, or let's not. It was this kind of drib-drab affair that just didn't really add up to me. It didn't seem to make the most of what they had there. At the very start, we saw Virtus.pro struggling to make a dent. It was, that's what the initial plan seemed to be, picking those tanks. But there was nothing off the back of it. It was like, well, okay, now we've stopped Virtus.pro destroying us initially. Where's the rest of it, WUSA? Come on, guys. Come on. We know you guys can play tanks. We don't need to be reassured of that. We want to see you playing to a high level of tanks here. This is the difference.
Yeah, it's about the high-level play. We are going to be moving on to Winter Himmelsdorf. Triple 5100 double IS3 standard lineup from Virtus.pro, and for WUSA, they got the 110, the Chinese tier 8 heavy tank, the IS3 ×2, 5100 ×2, ×2 for the tier 1s, of course. 42 points, you need those two tier 1s to add the 2 points remaining. So, interesting, I guess, LD Nexus with that 110. Again, WUSA going for the frontal engagement. They want the frontal armor. It can still bounce the AP ammo, the APCR ammo, the premium ammo for the IS3 and the AMX 5100. So that's why they're going to be picking it. A little bit easier to play, in my opinion, as well. A little bit faster than the IS3 in some respects. We'll have to wait and see if that one's worked out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, we saw it favourable in the NA scene for a little while. Let's see if it's going to work out here on Winter Himmelsdorf, the next map. So, welcome into the third map here. It will be Winter Himmelsdorf. The beautiful snow laying on the ground for the north side of WUSA. Red against the blue side of Virtus.pro in the south. Currently 1-0, even though we are into the third battle. And right now, we're going to have to see if anyone can really take the advantage here and take that lead. At the moment, it's looking like Virtus.pro will be the team to do so after their performance on Ensk. But what are they doing from the very offset here? So,
WUSA heading up towards the hill. LD Nexus, Siege, Lorelana, Sal, and Commandante all going up on towards try and get that higher ground. Stefan and QQ all towards the right side. Looks like the same from Virtus.pro, although one less tank committed. They've got the 5100 of Povel right over to left side. Good to see that he's in the game. Maybe he's going to be able to pull something out, be extraordinary, prove why he's joined Virtus.pro as a team, which so far have been ice cold. WUSA have to try and find a way of breaking that if they can, and they have to make something happen. So far, the execution has lacked. I think they've been very, very close to getting it done. It's good to see that they're being aggressive, unlike previous match days. But they just need to make sure that they are aggressive in a good way, and also maybe not go for some of those strange lineups. At the end of the day, 351, two IS3s, 35100s, 35100, two IS3s, it's always going to work. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. All you need to do is play better than the other team and have a better strategy. That's what's going to bring you the wins. You know, the IS6, the 110 is a good tank, but there's nothing wrong with the IS3 and there's nothing wrong with the 5100. Unless you got something spectacular, then you might as well just pick those two tanks. Well, first shell's going out as we'd expect in the middle. Remember, LD Nexus playing that 110. QQ does receive the first bit of damage. That's from Kusok. Goes down to 1076.
Indeed, and where are we actually seeing that 110 play? Because I don't believe it's in the middle where we saw it before. Are they taking up the hill with them? Yeah, they've put it up onto the hill. It's just sitting right where Commandante and Lorelana are. The IS6, maybe IS6, the 110 better horsepower to weight ratio, so it can be quicker up that hill. Siege trying to get some spots out, but Kreitz is going forward. Siege will spot him. This could be dangerous, but at the moment, WUSA have got more committed on the hill than Virtus.pro have. So if engagement does happen, it's going to definitely go in their favor, especially with that 110. Let's see if they do go for this, and as you now notice, Just Cause and Vorsic are waiting on the other side. Commandante peers up, but no reply actually, so Kreitz will be taken down. Just Cause and Vorsic maybe a little slow on the trigger there They have got the they've got the spots, but still surprising as QQ will take a face full of damage. But that's not even up on the hill. That's down in the middle. That's down to those IS3s. Breakneck and Kusok doing the work, and I believe that'll be the well, WUSA side backing away from that hill.
Yeah, that was unnecessary for Siege to die, and secondly unnecessary for QQ to take so much damage. Another shell landing onto him. Siege should have stayed alive, wait until he was unspotted before getting that next spot on, but Kreitz really did die for no reason at all. He could have actually been, he's a team captain, he should know better. He should be more towards that wall to stop Commandante using his 5100 to deal the blow. If you're close to the wall, gun depression is obviously harder, and the wall obviously provides a big block which you can't shoot through. But you know, at the end of the day, QQ receives another shell, 386 damage left on him. He's peeking and he is getting repeatedly punished. You can see that 1-2 shell marks into there. I think maybe even 3 shell marks. So far, Kusok has not only been perfectly playing in that IS3, but perfectly lucky as well.
Well, right now, Just Cause getting into a good position. That 5100 up the top of the hill as well could cause more pain to any of the WUSA side if they arm along that line down there. And Just Cause does have a bit of an angle on him. He could land it if he fancies it, but still, this looks more like it could be a bit of a troublesome sight as the rest of the tanks from WUSA making their way back towards the hill. Vorsic and Just Cause might be in trouble, but Commandante's going low. Just Cause exchanging. Can Commandante fall? Oh, he's going to stay alive. Back away smartly. Just Cause puts himself in a corner. Nexus goes low. He's going to be taken down. And actually, we're going to see a counter move coming in from VersePro along those railroad tracks, trying to single out the rest as Vorsic trying to make a run for it. He's got Nexus on his heels. Vorsic just about alive. 181 more shell will do the job. Can he avoid it? Can Nexus land the one shot that could really save the day here? And now Vorsic does get taken down, so big advantage for the WUSA. But can they make this count, Laughter?
And QQ is on his own. That's the big problem. Kusok has done so much damage to QQ, he might actually fend him off. It might be a bit too easy, and he's got Pulver from behind.
Well, here we go. Kusok does finally get that killing blow. Schnitzel catches a glimpse of everything that's going on as Breakneck spots out Stefan. This is a scrappy, scrappy game if I've ever seen one. And now Breakneck just absolutely lining up the perfect shot there. And actually, Stefan is on fire. This means trouble. Look at that damage. And in the meantime, we've got Bishop and Kusok moving in to really take this one home, and surely it's going to do the job here as we are seeing the tanks falling left, right and center for WUSA. After taking the advantage, they might have just let it slip.
They have let it slip. QQ taking too much damage at the beginning. That's a bit of a problem, but Commandante has got it from the side.
Well, look at this as well. LD Nexus went for a little bit of a counterplay, but he got held up in the meantime. Breakneck doing the job he needs to. Kusok still in the action. Couple of seconds on that cap. Kusok moving in. Laurel is alive, but Kusok just rolling forward, trying to get to a better spot here to deal that final blow. Surely does the work. Good job to Kusok there. Brave play, but now 2 players left. Make it 1 as Breakneck lands a stunning shell on towards Commandante, and now just LD Nexus to save the day. Povel, Kusok, Breakneck, and hell, even Bishop's still alive. He's got a real job in his hands right now. 5 seconds left on the cap. Surely not enough time to do this one. He cannot save the day right now. WUSA, you let it slip again, and VersePro walk away with another map in their hands. So well played overall, as now Nexus can try and do what he wants, but game over. VersePro, pick it up.
The game actually ended before the shell from Kusok's, I think it was one of the IS3's gun, hit LD Nexus, so he didn't actually end up dying. The shell just disappeared. So a bit lucky from him in there, but yeah, once again, just as we saw in Steps, WUSA having the initial ability to see the weakness in VersePro, exploit it perfectly,
nice
took down Vorsic, took down Breakneck in the AMX, or Just Cause, or Breakneck? One of the two. I think it was Just Cause in the AMX 5100. Took 2 tier 8 tanks down for none. And then it was just like, poof! See you later, WUSA just disappear.
I don't
AFK
even know where
for 2
they all
minutes,
died.
and then just went. Well,
off the hill, they got the 2 kills up there. They were a little bit weak. What the hell happened to those 3 tanks? Because, okay, I understand that it was QQ, I think, took a lot of damage initially.
Yeah.
Fair enough, he was low. He got taken down in the end. Where the hell were the others?
Well, QQ, LD Nexus chased on to Vorsic, took him down, fair enough. So he's got to have to rotate it back around and head through the 8 line. I think he was a little bit late to the party as well. And then the 25100 rotated. I don't know, I think they went down towards their cap. But it was, again, you know, the big problem there was QQ peaked, getting greedy, took so much damage. 386 left on him. That was the big problem for WUSA, because they needed him to stay alive for the rest of their tanks to get into the game.
As a pivoting point, almost to hold them back, even just a couple more seconds, to allow, you know, the rest of us to go, okay, they're pushing here, let's get off the hill, let's be quick about this. If he's a one-shot...
He should not have peaked. He should have been on plus 1,000 HP.
Yep.
That would have given them another 20, 30 seconds. Stefan also getting set on fire for an extra 400 damage, a little bit unfortunate. He could have lived another shell. But yeah, QQ... if he had been on a little bit more HP, he would have been able to deal more damage, stay alive for longer, keep them all distracted. The 5100 would be able to come down off the hill. But generally, Virtus Pro, despite being 2 tier 8 tanks down, they used their positional advantage and managed to get the win through the cap.
Yeah, great play once again from them. I don't know why I ever expect them not to play like this. This is the thing, you can challenge them, you can chip away at them, but unless you really capitalize on every small advantage you gain, they'll be like, well, okay, we'll reset it somehow. We will find a way around this.
They'll find another way to win.
Yeah, it's actually quite impressive to watch. Even against the very top teams, they can still do the same. And that's why I used to love watching the games between them and Dignitas when they're in that second position. You know, Virtus Pro were at the top. The back and forth between those two was sublime on maps like that, because both of them had those backup plans. Both could fend off each other to an extent, but one would win on pure skill alone, and it was stunning. But you're seeing the difference between a good team and a great team. You know, WUSA, they made a good initial move. They won the battle on the hill. They read it quite nicely there. They singled it out. The play in the tier 1 was questionable from Virtus Pro as well. I think they gave away a little bit of the game on that, I feel. But still, you know, WUSA, credit to them. They saw a slight chink in the armor, and they went for it. Good job. But then Virtus Pro, even down those 2 tanks, as you said, found the other weakness that WUSA tried to hide as best they could, and there you go, capitalized straight away. Brilliantly done. I love the way they play that. So Mines will be possibly the last map. If you know, WUSA don't win this, I don't know what they can really do here. So is this a map they might have a chance on?
I think so. Nice thing about Mines is that it's such an adaptive map. You can really try a tactic we've never seen before, and it can end up winning. It's really a diverse map. We see a lot of different...
Oh, C-Play did it.
Exactly. I mean, it's not always about that hill play, and when it is about the hill play it changes every time. There's not really one way people win the hill anymore. So I think certainly Mines is one of the better choices for WUSA to bring themselves back into this game. But so far, triple AMX 3090, T32, AMX 5100, double T1. That's for WUSA. I actually really like that lineup from the south.
Nice lineup.
I'm not sure what gun Commandant is going to be using in that one. Obviously, the SA-47, the 100mm is the normal one. You could be using that 90mm, less damage, but faster reload, which could be very important for killing those 1390s that are heading on the hill. Obviously, 45 seconds on the SA-47 is a little bit too long to counter AMX 1390s. For Virtus Pro, double AMX 1390, double T69, AMX 5100, double Tier 1. I'm actually a massive fan of these two lineups, so it's going to be a great game.
It certainly will. It might decide who will win this one. So guys, let's get ready for Mines. So, welcome into Mines. This could be the final battle between these two if Virtus Pro pick up the victory. They are currently sitting on 2-0, I actually believe, because every other map was drawn out. So, WUSA need this victory, otherwise Virtus Pro going to walk away with this one, or roll away with it, should I say. So, from the north, it will be Virtus Pro. From the south, it's going to be WUSA. What are we seeing from the very offset?
Well, have a look. We're seeing something very... I'm
wow,
sorry,
okay.
I can't keep a straight face. I can't analyze this, guys. This is insane. I mean, it's obvious that Wargaming does this kind of stuff on purpose, because that rock just seems to be far too well positioned for it not to be a good position for you to push up a tank, and they have done exactly that. Most of WUSA sitting up around there, and finally FKK Schnitzel being the man to sit up there. The rest of the tanks kind of sitting around the cap. Virtus Pro pushed up the hill as you would expect from the north. I guess that's one nice thing about being from the north, is that being from the south, like, you know the other team what it's going to do before it's even done it, and you can kind of just say, okay, well, screw you, we're not going to challenge for the hill. We're going to sit down and we're going to wait for you, or we're going to come up with our own tactic. And FKK Schnitzel's been in that perfect position, landing the first shell onto Just Cause.
I would love to hear the voice comms of Pro right now, trying to work out where these guys are. I think Vorsic has an idea. He's definitely looking in that direction right now from the top of that hill. Kusok as well coming around the side. And you said this is one of the maps you can literally do anything with. It's a very unique map, and look at this. Kusok does manage to spot out LD Nexus, QQ, and Siege. Really good work from him in that tier 1, just keeping eyes across. And now they need to find out where the rest of these guys are, because very unique positioning. We are seeing a little bit of fire going back and forth, and I think Vorsic has got an idea where Schnitzel is, but yet to really land a shell towards it. So brilliant start from both sides, very unique, but once again, WUSA have these good initial plans, but they got to make it count. So I'm not sold just yet. Vorsic waiting for that pixel to appear out of place. He knows that Schnitzel wants to go for these shots. Will he land it, though? I don't think he will.
Wonder how much it's going to do, though.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we saw LD Nexus being in that position on steps, and a very similar position to FKK Schnitzel actually worked out for them. And he was spotted initially, but will Virtus.pro now have to adapt their tactic? It does look like it. They're kind of heading away from that upper rock section towards the northern side of the middle hill, and really avoiding FKK Schnitzel's line of fire in general, which is definitely the smart thing to do. Maybe look towards the Lighthouse Island. You can see how much resources WUSA have committed towards the right side. Virtus.pro see that. They head towards the left side. You can see I believe Just Cause and Vorsic in the 250 MX-1390s are now on the rotate. Karitz has been there for a while, so they know WUSA hasn't got any combat tanks there, at least. Maybe not a tier 1 because Karitz hasn't been spotted, so they pretty much have free reign over that side of the map, but I'm not sure how much of a difference that's going to make.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what they can come up with here, because this is very unique. This would be Virtus.pro adapting on the fly, because no one plays where Schnitzel is playing. It is... I don't even know what to say about it. He's literally mountain climbing as we speak, so yeah. He's off on his own having a great time.
The funny thing is, when we were on... I used to be a super tester, which is like, before it goes public, it goes to the super testers. And they just released physics. This is like, you know, 8.0, they released physics in this game. And this was actually one of the things we did. We rammed each other up onto mines, and we basically just drove around the side of the map. And you really can drive around the whole side of the map. It's like from here all around into the base. We thought it'd actually be a lot more significant than it is, but it just turns out there's a little bit too little time in 15 versus 15 to make a real big difference.
Well, we are seeing a couple of shells coming across now. Vorsic and Just Cause getting a great little spot. Look at QQ and Siege. They are so damn low. QQ just about avoiding that shell. Schnitzel is in a good spot. Finally land those shells back towards Povl, but Siege and QQ being so low, I'm not sure there's enough really damage to be done here, and they've completely negated the presence of the opponent. LD Nexus trying to avoid some of the fire. He gets a face full of it himself. This is not looking good for WUSA. Great plan initially, but it might just fall apart here.
See, this is the problem. Basically, they're relying on Schnitzel to make all the plays, and that's allowed Just Cause and Vorsic to have free reign over the map. They've just been able to roam, use their MX-1390 speed, and flank around and find a good position onto QQ and LD Nexus. Both down low HP. QQ maybe 10%, 882, and LD Nexus as well. But FKK Schnitzel is doing a pretty good job up there. He's got Povl down to 555, so about 35% left on the T69. And Just Cause and Vorsic, because they couldn't get a killing blow onto QQ, they're really going to be kind of useless in that position. They need to come up with a different strategy, maybe head towards that hill, or maybe flank around towards the cap of WUSA.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see now where Virtus.pro take this. Do they go for the victory here, or are they going to try and maybe look at another map? Because they still have such an advantage. Let's bear that in mind. And Povl staying where he is, on top of the mound, almost on the main area. But Breakneck's actually joining over where those T69s are. Kusok has gone down, but that's about it for these two. And really unique play so far. And it does look as though we are seeing everyone rotating over. Even Bishop taking a more passive position further back. Vorsic still out, obviously. Schnitzel does put out Karitz, not landing the shells though they might want to. And, well, Karitz staying alive to fight another day. But, you know, where are the moves now for Virtus.pro? What can they make from this?
well, try and come around from a different angle, and it does look like their weak spot, their chosen weak spot, is over towards the left side, the K123 area. They're just going to push around, use the, I don't know how to describe it, I guess the left small mound, southwest small mound, use that cover, go towards WUSA's base, engage onto the T-32 of Stefan, and then just really push for a cap and hope they can fend off from the higher ground the retreating or defending tanks of WUSA.
I just want to give credit to, excuse me, Karitsen as well, staying alive a hell of a lot, getting a lot of those spots done. But a lot of these players making their way over could now be in trouble. You can see that firing squad ripping holes into Stefan. He has been decimated. A little bit of damage has come back, but this is unbelievable play. Schnitzel has moved off that hill. The entire map now overtaken by WUSA. Breakneck and Just Cause moving in now. Bishop still quite far back. He is the linebacker almost for these guys. If they make their move around the backside, he'll be the first to meet it and maybe the first to fall. But let's see how this one goes down. It's a bit of cat and mouse, but right now it looks like Just Cause and Breakneck are there in time. More damage coming through. Comandante is low. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They're going towards the cap. Povel is there near on before them, and these guys are going as fast as possible here. You can see Comandante got caught on the hill, trying to buy time, but I'm not sure there's enough time left on the board here for these guys.
25 seconds left on that cap. It is going up very quickly because of the 3 tanks in there. I'm not sure if Virtus Pro can get back here in time.
Well, let's find out. Bishop on the move. Vorsic just about making it through the water there. 15 seconds. This has to be a perfect shot to reset this. Bishop is moving in. Just Cause as well. This will be down to the last second here, but Bishop made it first. He might be able to land these ones. He's just about reset it. Perfectly done. Here comes the final move. It could be all over here. Schnitzel, the last man standing. It was the first in a great position and the last to fall, but Virtus Pro, 3 maps now in their hands, walk away with the victory and a very unique game on Minds as well.
Amazing. Virtus Pro showing why they're a top 2 team in the world, adapting perfectly towards WUSA's strange strategy. FKK Schnitzel deciding to go up there, which I don't think is a bad maneuver.
I don't think it should be the linchpin of the whole strategy, though.
No, you definitely can't give up the whole left side. I think there should have been one tier 1 over there to spot out anything, because what happened basically, WUSA, well, the whole strategy was based around FKK Schnitzel. It was pivotal around him. They put a lot of resources over towards the right side. Good damage initially. QQ and I believe LD Nexus went low in those AMX-3090s because of Vorsic and Just Cause and the MX-3090s themselves over towards that Lighthouse Island. But then again, WUSA fell for the same trap again. You can never make the same mistake twice. They got caught out from the left side. Stefan got obliterated in that T-32 as he tried to cross towards the middle area. And at the end of the day, if you make the same mistake twice, you definitely deserve to lose.
Well, overall, it's been an interesting playday to say the least. I think we're finally seeing the bigger teams finding their footing a little bit here. Obviously, School Bus stepping up, Virtus Pro then dealing with whatever WUSA throw at them. But I got to give WUSA credit. At least they tried something this time. Yeah. You know, we used to have to give teams true props to actually go for these strategies, and they've actually tried it. This is the first time I've seen them actually investing into these things. You can see they're putting time in. It may not be to the best effect yet, but there's certainly room to improve there now after they've kind of set the base level almost for them, I feel.
They've got an area to improve into. They've seen they've tried seen what they need to do to change it and make them actually work. You know, for instance, on steps, they need to make sure they're more aggressive in general. You know, WUSA, they need to make sure that they have the second stage to their plan. First stage is always brilliant. FKK Schnitzel, that position was inspirational. Definitely can work. But what do you do after that, and what do you do to work better around that? You need to have more options on the table. Steps, they need to be more aggressive going forwards. I just think generally WUSA, they need to have something beyond that one plan, because a team like Virtus Pro always does, and they're always going to react to you, and they're as good going forwards as they are reacting. That's why they're a top team. Yeah,
so if we look back through the games we've had today, obviously Denial up against the Leprechauns. First game to start off with. Denial, I think, are looking a little shaky here. I think we can all kind of agree with that. But the Leprechauns looking very good as well. Certainly a surprising result, 3-0 in the Leprechauns' favour. Now, what do you think that means for Denial here?
For Denial, it means that they don't get too disheartened. They don't think about Elian too much. Oh, we're losing because of Elian. Because, guys, they did lose every single season at the beginning. Doesn't matter if they had Ely or not. They're just losers at the beginning, and they get back towards the middle and the end, and they end up in top 4 or top 3, top 3 most of the time, just behind School Bus and Virtus Pro. So they need to make sure that they keep their spirits high and their morale high. Dreaming Leprechauns obviously very happy. I said at the beginning this would be a great draw, let alone win. Obviously 3-0 is the best result they could possibly ask for. So, you know, massive congratulations has to go out to that brand new team. And, you know, School Bus Freefall, again, a very good team set up. At the end of the day, School Bus really coming into their own. I was always a little bit worried about them in the first couple of match days, but they look like they got a lot of those issues fixed, and, you know, we've just seen Virtus Pro obliterate WUSA.
Yeah, Virtus Pro look like they've barely taken a dent in the overall season so far, looking extraordinarily strong. But obviously, we need to see what that means for the overall standings here, because this is what it's building towards now. So Virtus Pro taking their place at the top. TCM previously were there. We did not see them on today's playday, but still, at the moment, Virtus Pro in first position. Solid work so far. TCM in second. The Leprechauns in a very respectable position in third, above School Bus. What is the outstanding thing here for you that's maybe surprising at the moment?
Well, for me, Lucky Karaki, I'd not expect them to be in the middle. We'll have to see what happens with the Asuba when Voodoo's their team captain comes back. That's what that team has been lacking.
Right,
That's why they've been losing. Certainly considering they beat Spale to get into the Wargaming League Europe. C-Play, I think they've had the 2 hardest games to start off with, School Bus and then Virtus Pro.
Yeah,
very hard start.
And they looked good.
And they looked good. They came close. So I think they need to be having that same mentality against some of the lower teams. But it's match day 3. It's really on Thursday that we, after this exact time on Thursday, we have to look at the rankings again when every single team here has played three games, because you can see Virtus Pro on 3 wins, but TCM have only played 2 games.
Yeah, so obviously a little bit of disparity there. And speaking of the next playday, obviously it will be on Thursday. We're out of Super Week. We're allowed to leave the studio now. We can chill out at home a little bit, watch some more tanks, you know, WGL, NA, stuff like that. Otherwise, we're not allowed to do that. We only live here. But obviously Thursday will be the day where you get to see all the other teams playing. So guys, you know, if you want to see, maybe TCM can stay at the top there and make sure that everyone knows they are on par with Virtus Pro. They'll be facing against Lucky Karaki. That'll be a great game if I've ever seen one, to decide who's really coming out of those gates looking perfect into this season. Other than that, EPS against C-Play, maybe a chance to see C-Play against up against an opponent who's not formidable as hell and terrifying to play against. You know, and even following that, Kazna Isuba. A lot of things to be proven here. What's your game to be looking forward to on, obviously, the next games? I
think that Kazna versus Asuba for me is the most tempting, because Kazna crew drawed against WUSA. I think they've got a lot more to prove. Hopefully that draw is going to inspire them to be a better team. They have got some insane players in that lineup altogether now, so I think they're going to be formidable. And obviously Asuba with Voodoo's back at the helm with their team captain. I want to see what they can achieve now with a full lineup. So for me, it's Kazna versus Asuba. See, I think I would go for TCM against Lucky Karaki after those brilliant results that I had to miss, obviously. I want to see how they do now in this playdate coming up, obviously, on Thursday. And guys, let us know your favorite games that you want to be really seeing coming up. Obviously, head over to WGL EU and check it out for yourselves, WGLEU.com, or go over to Twitter with the same name and check it out for yourselves. Let us know who you are looking forward to on that next playdate. It will be coming up on Thursday, so make sure you tune back in there. If you want to be notified as soon as we go live, follow the channel right down below. Obviously on Twitch, there's a nice little follow button. Hit it up and you'll be emailed as soon as we go live. So guys, if you've enjoyed today's show, I know I have. I'm pretty sure he has as well. You know, you just like seeing tanks, No,
right?
I haven't.
He's hated it. He's hated every minute. But if you have enjoyed it, make sure you tune back in towards the next show. It will be on Thursday, kicking off at the same time. We'll be here and hopefully you'll be as well.